Hi. Hello. Dr. Glenn Gero is speaking about lifestyle approaches in being able to avert or prevent cognitive decline as we get older. Now, it's not just getting older where people have cognitive decline. Last Monday, I got a telephone call. A woman calls me up and she's frantic. She says, I wonder if you could help my daughter. I said, what's wrong? She said, every time my daughter has anything with gluten or sugar, she gets nauseous and throws up. So I said, well, what happens when she doesn't have the gluten or the sugar? She says, oh, she's fine. She says, what do you think she should do? So I asked her, I said, what do you think she should do? She said, do you think I should tell her not to have gluten and sugar? I said, that might be a good start. Anyway, we've got some good news. There's a new drug for RA called etanercept that may have benefits against Alzheimer's disease. A few caveats there. So, I mean, if you're willing to have some of these side effects, probably might restore some of your memory. And there's more good news. The FDA has already approved certain cholinesterase inhibitors that really don't really work very well. But, again, some minor inconveniences. Now, the most common forms of dementia are Alzheimer's disease, which most people are familiar with, and vascular dementia. Collectively, they amount to about 90% of all cases of cognitive decline. Dementia is generally degradation of the memory and cognitive ability, often due to some type of biological or physical event. Alzheimer's disease is generally associated with the amyloid plaquing and some of the tangles that take place in the brain. Second most common, basically CTE, chronic traumatic encephalopathy, which is associated with people with contact sports. I recently got involved with the NFL Players Association, the Alumni Association, and we're going to be working with some of the NFL and NBA players in some of the catastrophic issues that they have after they retire from football and basketball. But some of the risk factors include hypertension, stroke, cardiovascular disease. You know, the issue that medical science has today, they're focusing on the amyloid plaques. Now, is it the amyloid plaques that really are causing Alzheimer's and dementia? The fact of the matter is, there are many factors that are actually contributing to the development of these plaques. So we have to be able to recognize what are the causal factors behind that, and they are numerous. And we're talking about viral infections, bacterial infections, Lyme disease, fungi, biofilms, leaky gut. And if anybody who has leaky gut, very good chance they've got leaky brain. Reductions in neurotrophic support, and we're talking about brain-derived neurotrophic factors, and we'll get into that a little bit later, nerve growth factors and hormonal support and insulin sensitivity. We'll talk about later how Alzheimer's is sometimes considered diabetes type 3. And of course, heavy metals, and we'll get into that as well. Number of factors that we have to take into consideration. Of course, head injuries, Down syndrome, family history. But overall, and we'll talk about the fact that 70 to 80% of all dementias are probably preventable. And there are some genetic factors, and if you have a family history of Alzheimer's or dementia, there's a greater need that we have to pay attention to some of the lifestyle factors that are going to prevent that. Some of the protective cognitive factors include antioxidant consumption. One of the things that I do in my office, I actually measure free radical levels, and I do it by testing the breath. We're testing aldehydes in the breath. There's 23 different aldehydes. If you do it in the blood, you're only measuring one. If you do it in the breath, you're measuring all 23. And it's really an interesting way to be able to ascertain whether somebody has a risk factor for more catastrophic disease. So active socialization, physical exercise, especially cardiovascular exercise, omega-3 fatty acids. I have a saying that life should be cumulative. We should be smarter tomorrow than we are today. So continued learning is really important. Manage your stress. Be resilient. The things that happen tomorrow, you can't do anything about. So we've got to be able to refocus and live in the now. Eliminate toxins, but you have to be aware that you have toxins in your system. Balance blood sugar levels, really critical. Limit alcohol consumption, avoid tobacco products. Oddly enough, I actually did a paper, I did that as a spoof. I did a meta-analysis to actually prove that smoking tobacco was neuroprotective against Alzheimer's disease and Parkinson's. But we all know that it's probably fallacious. But the fact of the matter is, you can get information, positive information on anything. Of course, a lot of these studies were supported by the tobacco companies. Also, maintaining an optimistic outlook. If you really believe that you're headed towards a disease, that your memory is failing, that you have senior moments, you probably will. It's not a normal part of aging. I really disdain, I'm at a high school 50 years, over 50 years. And every once in a while I speak to somebody that I went to school with and they talk about senior moments. I don't have senior moments. Fran thinks I do, but I don't.
Never.
I don't think so.
Am I speaking tonight?
It's interesting. This is an interesting statistic. Every 68 seconds, somebody develops Alzheimer's disease. And they're predicting by the year 2050, I don't know how to come up with this, one person is going to develop Alzheimer's disease every 33 seconds. I think this is really a serious concern. But according to Dr. Neil Bernard, at a conference in 2013, he indicated that we could reduce the risk of Alzheimer's disease by 70 to 80%. I thought this might be interesting. There's George and there's Alex. Well, how do I back up?
The other.
Oh, there we go. Okay. George is a couch potato. He sits and watches the games. He can't stand up very well because he's got diabetes, he's got heart disease, gets most of his meals from Burger King, has a burger and fries, washes it down with a couple Cokes. Doesn't do very much, doesn't do any exercise. He barely makes it. Every once in a while he'll get together with Alex, who's an avid tennis player. He gets involved in a number of social activities. He's a member of SCORE, which is the senior core of retired executives, and they really help other people with their small business. He's retired, but he leads an active lifestyle. He works out about 5 or 6 days a week. Now, who is more likely to develop cognitive decline? Did anybody say Alex? Now, the published data indicates, and it's really clear, and if you look at the research, proper diet, exercise, social engagement, all of these things are going to avert some of the symptoms of cognitive decline. And what are the side effects? Right. On the other hand, conventional medicine doesn't have any solutions. I remember, my background, before I became a naturopathic doctor, I used to publish medical journals. I published the American Journal of Surgery, the American Journal of Cardiology, the American Journal of Medicine. I was also with the Annals of Internal Medicine with the American College of Physicians, with the Annals. And I used to call on every drug company in the country. Very interesting experience, because I was at a vantage point where I could see an entire industry. And I used to advise some of the product managers at the drug companies how to market their drugs. And I was also, because I would also study the pink sheets or all of the clinical trials, because I wanted to be able to anticipate when these drugs came out. But we were able to see some of these drugs, and they were really excited that they had drugs that would be supportive against Alzheimer's. Not realizing, hey, there are consequences here.
Can you go back 2 slides? You see, it's in the optimal stuff.
I know.
You're doing something good.
Right. There's a lot of links that indicate that the more disruptive the blood sugar balance, the more chance we can have some type of dementia. And it doesn't have to be diabetes. It could be metabolic syndrome, insulin resistance. So even if we take a look at somebody, because diabetes is actually characterized as somebody who has an A1C of 6.5 or above. But you take somebody who has an A1C over 6, do they have a greater risk for dementia than somebody who has an A1C of 5.5, 5.4, 5.2? I always strive. Does everybody understand what A1C is?
Yes.
Okay. Basically, I try to get my patients under 5.2, 5.1. We're talking about gluten. Gluten has become the plague. This is really a serious issue. As a matter of fact, the comedian Rita Rudner, I don't know if anybody knows Rita Rudner, she actually says that it's so dangerous that instead of using bombs, the United States is starting to throw gluten at some of our enemies.
Actually, now it's becoming a problem not only in the States.
Right.
Yeah, we were in France and Spain
Yeah,
last year.
Yeah.
Now it's everywhere.
Right. One of the leading experts on gluten and gluten sensitivity and celiac disease, Harvard professor Alessio Fasano, has really made a very strong correlation between not only leaky gut but leaky brain, and very strong correlations between gluten consumption. And I'm finding in my practice about 60% of my patients are gluten sensitive. Way to know for sure, when they stop eating gluten, all of a sudden they start feeling better. Number one symptom of gluten sensitivity, brain fog. Number one. So virtually 12% of my practice are kids. And when parents bring their children to me, the number one reason why they bring in their child is for attention deficit or ADHD. Every one of them, or virtually every one, is gluten sensitive. Take the gluten away. The teachers think I put them on Ritalin or Adderall.
And sugar away too.
True.
Yeah.
True. Some of the nutrients, and I didn't put all the nutrients, but free radicals, being able to assess what somebody's free radical levels are and to be able to make sure they're getting adequate antioxidants. You know, it's interesting. Everybody knows that antioxidants are supposed to be good for them, right? How many patients of yours really know what an antioxidant is? Antioxidant. Because oxygen, we need that to live. But too much oxygen is deleterious. It's the oxygen utilization that makes us whole. And in order to do that, we need antioxidants, we need physical activity to excite the mitochondria. I love to recommend blueberries. Blueberries are great. I get people that not only improve cognitive function, but improve their vision. I had a woman, I recommended a half a cup of blueberries to her every day. She listened to me. Every day. She got some blueberries. At the end of the year, she complained to me in a kidding way. She says, "You know what you cost me on the blueberries?" I said, what happened? She says, "I went to my eye doctor. My vision improved." This is a woman in her 70s. Her vision improved. She says, "I have 5 pairs of glasses. They're $500–600 a piece." There's a number of supplements that we can recommend, and you can go crazy on various supplements, and I'll mention some other things. But there seems to be some validation on some of these cognitive supplements. These acetyl-L-carnitine, it actually fuels the mitochondria by driving fat into the mitochondria and enhancing memory and cognition. I actually use, we call it Alcar. I use Alcar oftentimes with people with attention deficit. Panax Ginseng. Find that research indicates that it may reduce some of the plaquing or plaque formation, but it also is a great adaptogen, lowering stress levels. And if you can lower stress levels, it should help enhance memory and cognition. I love fish oils. I recommend fish oils to almost everybody, because virtually everybody is deficient in omega-3 fatty acids. You know, these supplements that they sell, these 369 supplements, it's absolutely absurd, because everybody's getting enough omega-6 in their diet. Omega-9 is olive oil. You don't need that in a capsule. Almost everybody is deficient in omega-3. And if you look at their tongues, you look at their skin, you look at their hair, almost everybody's dry unless they're doing something to replenish those needed oils. The DHA actually works with the nervous system. So I use high DHA fish oils with children that have attention deficit. I use high DHA fish oils, and the high DHA fish oils have higher amounts of DHA than EPA, but I use that also with people that have a tendency towards dementia or memory loss. Not that the EPA is not important, because the EPA is anti-inflammatory. Vitamin E, and there's some evidence that vitamin E. Now, what is vitamin E? Most people have no clue what vitamin E is. When they see vitamin E in the stores, they say, "Oh, D-alpha tocopherol." That's vitamin E, isn't it? No. It has 8 components. It's alpha, beta, delta, gamma tocopherols, and the tocotrienols. So anything that is not, doesn't have all 8 components is really not taking vitamin E. And I've had arguments with a number of different individuals that chastise vitamin E because there were studies that say vitamin E actually causes cardiovascular death. I mean, it's prostate cancer. I mean, it's insane. So you really have to know what vitamin E is, and basically when we take in nutrients, they shouldn't be fractionalized forms of those nutrients. Vitamin A is not beta-carotene is not vitamin A. It's a poorly converted form of vitamin A. So when we look at these things, we want to be able to look at whole, complete nutrients. Curcumin, love curcumin. You know, it's interesting. In my research, the people in India have the lowest incidence of Alzheimer's and cancer in the world. They have about 1/4 the prevalence of Alzheimer's that we have in this country. And it's oftentimes believed that the curcumin or the turmeric that they eat in abundance is one of the things that really saves them. And curcumin does cross the blood-brain barrier. So I like curcumin. I have a little bit of curcumin every day in liposomal form. Other supplements, I actually wrote down a few others, and obviously I could be here all night, but other supplements that have shown some benefit for memory. Lion's mane, which is a mushroom. Anybody have ever heard of lion's mane? Resveratrol, ginkgo biloba, huperzine, phosphatidylserine, and alpha-glycerophosphocholine, or alpha-GPC. All of these have shown promise in helping people reverse some of the cognitive decline or preventing it in the first place. I had to put this slide in. But there seems to be a real strong correlation between those individuals who have had the least problems with their oral health have shown to have less incidence of cognitive decline. So going to a holistic dentist is probably not a bad idea.
This is Fred working.
And I'm not saying it because you're here, because the research indicates. Heavy metals. One of the things I do hair mineral analysis on almost everybody, and I see so many instances of toxic metals. Now, hair is not an absolute determinant. 2 minutes of toxic metals, but again, there are a lot of cognitive decline associated with heavy metals. I want to really quickly go over some of these other things. Brain-derived neurotrophic factors, exercise. Cardiovascular exercise is probably the most important thing anybody can do, and there's more substantiation to cardiovascular exercise in averting cognitive decline than almost anything else. So exercising, as we get older, exercise, physical exercise is more important because we lose the physiological effect of the exercise much more quickly. People that are older need to exercise more often, not less often. And these are all about the physical exercise. Magnetic pulses in the brain. I'm not an expert in this. However, there are people like Bonnie who really understand the beamer and some of these PEMF devices. And they actually have shown that this increased oxygenation can increase memory function. So again, this is definitely worth some study. Stress, peace, love, and optimism. Again, the law of attraction. If you believe, You're going to be healthy. You're going to be healthy. If you really believe that you're going to be sick, you're going to be. And you're always going to be right. And there's a lot of substantiation to this. Having a reason to get up in the morning. Having a purpose for life. People that retire, they're also retiring from life. And again, my mantra is that life should be cumulative. I should be smarter tomorrow than I am today. I love this. I love this. Many of you have seen this. The battle between the two wolves. One is evil. The other is good. Which one wins? And it's the wolf that you feed. And I did it. I did it.